So welcome back to the 801 801 Weapon Works YouTube channel.
We are here with Cole, and he was generous enough to loan us his lovely gun room.
Welcome back to the High Standards Group YouTube channel. If you saw our last video, we were talking about our 300 blackout belts. Today we're talking about our gas mask for Mira safety. Again, I'm Frankie.
And I'm Alex. And these are our Mira gas masks. This is the CM-6M.
And the CM-7M.
And they gave you that, right?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I got mine free. They sent it to me for content. Alex paid for it.
I bought mine. I bought mine probably 2 years ago. And at the time, they were the only brand that I knew of as far as like gas masks, CBRN masks goes. And it's been brought to our attention since then that they're essentially a ripoff of Czech masks. I wouldn't say a ripoff, but they're more or less rebranded Czech masks that are marketed as American made.
I don't know if they necessarily say they're American made. Now, I'm not saying they don't. And of course, we don't have all of the information.
And I don't know that it necessarily matters as long as they work.
That's my thing.
It doesn't really...
You got people who are quick to jump into your DMs.
Yeah.
And start...
Which is fine.
You know, it's letting you know, hey, they're Czech.
Hey.
Like, okay, yeah, okay, if they're Czech, that's, that's fine.
Checkmate.
I mean, it's easier, pretty easy for me to say it doesn't matter to me because I didn't pay $300 for this, which these are expensive for sure. But
I think that's the thing is because you can get like the actual Czech brand masks for like under $100, kind of like military surplus. Yeah. Which again is fine.
If they work, that's totally fine.
It's capitalism. It goes down to having a product that you can market and sell. It's like there's no harm, no foul.
Honestly, if it's something that you just don't like, don't buy it. If this product's not for you, spend your money elsewhere.
Or if this product is for you, spend it here.
Yeah, I will have an affiliate link down in the description. But again, great product. We, as you'd seen at the beginning of this video, you've seen us shooting with these masks on. Now, there are some differences because, like you mentioned...
Yeah, there's some pretty big differences. And I was unaware of this, or at least not... It wasn't something that I was, like, very concerned about when I bought this one, because you hear about field of view, which we'll kind of get into. Because obviously you have this big side picture viewing lens on this particular mask, the 6M versus the 7M.
Yeah, the 7M has just two big eye holes, which... I gotta say, I didn't have any complaints.
Which is probably still fine.
Yeah, it seems fine. I'm sure there's people in the Czech Republic who are smoking bad guys wearing these sort of things. But then Mira does have the 8M mask, which is actually
like a hybrid of both.
It's a combination of these two, where it has like a cutout for your rifle stock, but with this sort of, I guess, eye protection.
Yeah, it's just kind of bridged across the center.
Yeah.
And it doesn't...
To open up your field of view.
Yeah, and it doesn't come down as far. Anyways... but that is one, I don't even know if I would necessarily say a concern, but it is a small, can be potential issue with the 6M is trying to shoulder a rifle and get behind an optic if you don't have a tall enough mount. So I run the JagerWorks
A1.
Yeah, the A1, which is what, a 2.25, 2.26.
Yeah, so it's a taller mount, which is actually great.
So it is a taller mount.
Masks. Yeah.
And what you can do is you can kind of just turn your head and also turn the rifle in towards kind of like the center of your face. Then from there you can pick up the optic just fine. But it is easier to pick up an optic with this specific design.
Yes. Because
again, that's kind of like the reason and purpose in that design.
Yeah, so it's got this space right here where I found that I was putting the stock. And then I would shoulder it normally, bring it up to my face normally, and then I would just tilt it more towards the center of my face. And I'd be able to pick up the dot, no problem. I was making hits. I mean, it's not like we were pushing it out to like 100 yards or anything like that, but like what, 15 to 20 yards?
Yeah.
No problem seeing the target or seeing the dot.
It probably would be more difficult if it was something that had more like eye relief in it, like a magnified optic, whether it's an ACOG or some sort of like LPVO versus a standard red dot that doesn't have any sort of eye relief.
Yeah.
But again, ideally and hopefully you don't ever have to wear this, and if you do, hopefully you're not having to run a gun as well. So it's kind of like worst case scenario.
Right.
But that's kind of what you're working with.
But that's what people who are buying these sort of things, that's all they think about is worst case scenario.
Yeah, that's all that they hope for until it actually happens. And then they find out that they're out of shape and that they should have been doing some cardio and push-ups instead of buying
just a walking gear drop.
Instead of buying gear to flex online.
No kidding. Seriously. So you know who you are watching this video.
Yeah. So go do some push-ups.
Go do some freaking push-ups.
Go eat some steak and drink some raw milk.
But I mean, all in all, I would say really good experience with them. Now, I've got a short beard. I didn't test this against like a
Yeah, that's another thing.
spray.
So full disclosure, we don't have access or materials to be able to actually test the functionality of these. Like, we don't have access to mustard gas or anything.
But there are things that we can do. And when in the instructions, when you actually get, open up your box, you'll get some instructions. The way they tell you to test the seal is to make sure, you don't, these will come with these little, I can't even get it out. Come out with these little, like,
the little nubs in there,
these little
like the plugs.
Yeah, a little seal in there.
And that's the other thing too is, so obviously I have mine on the right side of the mask because I'm left-handed, so I'm shouldering my rifle on this side. And you have yours set up the opposite way, so you're right-handed. And you can configure this either way depending on how you need to run the gun.
Right. So what they tell you to do is, if I'm not mistaken, you leave these little plugs in, and then down here on this mask, actually it's the same on both masks.
Yeah, it's kind of like your purge valve.
Yeah, this is where you exhale from.
I'm trying to get that focus in.
Yeah. So that's where you exhale from. And what they tell you to do is actually cover that with your hand. Make sure the straps are tight on the back of your head, right? And then that's how you'll know you have a good seal, is if there's no air escaping once you've blocked off all the airways and tighten it to your head. Now, doing that with my face shower, again, not a long beard, it felt like a pretty tight seal. Now, again, if I was going to test this in like some sort of
a gas chamber,
gas chamber, some sort of room where there would be gas or anything like that would make it difficult to breathe, I may start to tell a little bit, seeping in. So again, take that for what it's worth. We're just some normal guys. And we don't have access to that.
Yeah, so obviously it's sealing around the edges of your face, kind of like your jawline is what it's going to follow. So I guess if worst case comes to worst, you keep like a shaver and some cream with your mask.
So my understanding is that my understanding is that there are guys who are like in SWAT and stuff like that actually do keep some sort of
like a trimmer
way, some way to like clean up any sort of facial hair. So look at that, dude. Are you in SWAT?
Mustache give it away?
Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh.
No, I would never be law enforcement. I don't like to.
We have friends that are law enforcement, but neither one of us.
But they're cool.
Would be law enforcement. Yeah, they are. Nothing against law enforcement, but just because law enforcement doesn't mean we're gonna like you right off the bat. But I mean, honestly, just our honest reviews. Great product. If it's worth it to you to purchase something like this, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, that's
it.
Like, if you have disposable income and that's something that you're worried about potentially happening in the future, some sort of, you need to protect yourself against gas, then obviously that could be a priority for you. But at the same time, it's kind of one of those things that, again, it's like a worst case scenario. So hopefully that you never have to go to these in the first place, kind of like body armor.
Yeah.
But if it came down to it, you would be glad you had it. So again, just use discretion when making these types of purchases. A lot of these doomsday kind of, whether it's like pages, people, figures, that sort of thing will almost more or less kind of like try and push like some sort of fear-based narrative in order to get you to purchase certain types of products, which obviously we are not for. But again, you want to be able to recognize the potential that the future is unknown and that violence and others, I don't know what you even call it, like, just...
It could happen any day. Look what happened in 2020.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
I mean, Salt Lake City, again, we're from Utah. Salt Lake City was a mess. There was that cop car that got pushed over. There were Molotov cocktails. Fire, yeah. It was crazy. So things like that can happen. It can happen anytime, any place. Just, I guess.
And this is just another line of defense. That is protection, not offense.
I know people will think like, oh, well, I mean, you must be super paranoid to buy something like this. Yeah, I guess, to some degree. But you could also buy it, put it away, never have to use it, and then, great, count your blessings. Awesome.
Yeah, that's the other thing, too, is like these filters, they're what, like $70?
$70-$80, yeah.
But they have a shelf life of 20 years. So you could even stack up on a couple filters if you wanted to. And have it sit. And it's kind of like a food storage thing. It's like, if you have it and you need it, great. If not, then...
Or carrying a pistol.
Yeah, you're not out anything except for a couple $100.
Yeah, like it's not hurting anybody to own this sort of thing. So I feel lucky that they sent me this, because I did want something like this, just because, honestly, purely a want. I pray to God I never have to use anything like this, but it'll sit with my food storage and, stockpile of ammo, and maybe I'll go out and shoot with it, but, the need for it hopefully will never arise.
Yeah. So again, these are Mira Safety. They're made by Mira. I think another really good reputable brand that a lot of people like to kind of like recommend or turn to is going to be Avon.
See, and I'm not familiar.
I don't know a ton about it other than the name, but I do believe more U.S., whether that's like SWAT teams or like military personnel or like certain contractors, will use Avon products versus Mira. So I think it's more like kind of like use basis within the States.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
By professionals.
And that will mean, that'll be a selling point to some people, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think they're going to be a little bit more expensive than these.
I think that those sort of people who would use that as a selling point are probably not even going to be watching this video. They probably know way more than us about this sort of thing.
Yeah,
they're the ones who are going to be commenting if they do come across the video about how stupid we are for using this.
Which is fine, because we are stupid.
Oh, absolutely. For using this rebranded Czech surplus gas mask. But
imagine that.
Again, in the gun community, people will complain about anything. They just love to do that. And again, if this
they love to complain, they love to disagree, and they love to argue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So I expect some of that in the comments, which is fine.
Just bring some hands if you're going to bring some comments.
My thing is...
He's got hands.
I do. But my thing is, if you don't like something, you don't agree with something, do you really think you're going to change someone's mind by arguing?
Not only that, but you don't have to buy it. It's that simple.
Yeah,
pretty cool.
Vote with your dollars.
Yeah.
But I guess that being said, though, we'll wrap up the video unless you've got anything to add.
No, I don't think so. It's just kind of it's another line of preparedness that people can look into if that's something that they're interested in. Again, not necessary, but would be nice to have if you needed it. So
definitely couldn't hurt.
It definitely won't hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, this is the CM-6M. It's the full face visor. This is the CM-7M, which has kind of like your more...
Has the circular eyes, but it's more suitable for someone shooting a rifle.
Yeah,
you had no problem shooting out with a pistol, obviously, right?
No, yeah, pistol's fine, obviously, because you're
just like nothing.
front anyways.
But this is going to be a little better for the rifle. But they have the 8M, CM-8M as well, which is going to be
hybrid between.
It's a combination between ours, where you get this sort of visor, but this sort of cheek weld, I guess.
Yeah, and kind of like the reviews and that we've seen on the 8M is kind of like, again, it's the best of both worlds. Kind of like in reference to these two offerings, kind of like the hybrid between the two.
They're never in stock, so they're obviously really popular.
Yeah, for sure. So take that for what it's worth.
But thanks for watching.
So on today's episode, sponsored by Monster Energy.
Not a sponsor.
We'll be reviewing Mira Safety Masks that is also a sponsor. We're also sponsored by Pure Leaf Tees and by T-Rex Arms. And
as well as Tier 1 Concealed.
And 801 Weapon Works. We have lots of sponsors. Feel free to sponsor us.
Yeah, we'll accept anyone.
We're desperate.